Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday. It is not the calm before the storm with different funny backgrounds. It is Wednesday. It is week 16, another COVID ravaged week here, talking fantasy football. Of course, it is lightning round. Kevin Tompkins, of course, Gary Haddow, and of course, Britt Flynn. No Coop tonight. Maybe Coop tonight. Well, he might pop in later on. But Britt, Gary, how we doing?
Fantastic. It's Wednesday.
I'm
about to have some steamy playoff matchups.
It so feels like a Tuesday though. Steamy. Way to start the show out.
Yeah, it's like we're not getting into like HBO, after dark here. It's still very family friendly. We're not trying to get demonetized here on YouTube, of course. So yeah, let's it's week 16. It's the championship in some leagues. It's the semifinals in a lot of leagues. So let's just get right into it. This might be, we're going to talk about some players that we trust, players that we don't trust. The players that we did trust were not so hot last week. I think that was pretty much, the status quo for literally everybody because it was one of the worst scoring weeks in recent memory for the NFL. As far as touchdowns scored, it was really bad. There were 67 touchdowns in 16 games last week. That rate of 4.2 touchdowns per game is the fifth lowest week of any regular season week since 2012. So that should tell you right there, just scoring absolutely down. If you had a bad week, you are not alone.
Yeah, it was, I think in one league, I scored like 47 points. And I'm not even joking.
Yeah, so bad. It's tough streets out there for you point scorers, for you people that had, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Deontay Johnson and just literally it seems like everybody under the sun. But we are going to go through a bunch of players that we do trust. Let's start with the players that we trust. I will look to you, Britt, to kick us off here with one player in this week 16 that you absolutely trust. If you need points, they are going to deliver.
So I really trust Debo Samuel. He's got this kind of dual eligibility thing where they've been using him as a running back. Elijah Mitchell is still out for this upcoming week, was ruled out this afternoon, and they still use him in this receiving game. I think he's had a touchdown in 5 straight games, so he just has a nose for the end zone. Their matchup coming up against Kansas City is, pretty middle of the pack with their defense. So I think he's going to produce. And we'll kind of get to it later in the don't trust section with Gary and the other side of that. But I still think that San Francisco is going to have to move the chains and score enough points in a small amount of time that Debo's going to be super, super relevant. He's going to win it for you this week.
Hell yeah.
I know Gary likes to hear that.
No, he will. I completely agree. Like, they're coming off the injury, of course, they're going to ease him back in, and they're going to keep getting him going. And that running game on Elijah Mitchell, like you said, is being out, is just going to give them still those snaps. And I just, like, you guys have watched it. It is insane, his nose for the end zone, like, regardless where he is on the field. His ability to, like, go down the sidelines. Kittle's the same way, but, like, specifically for Debo, because you don't expect that as a running back. The dude just crushes it. It's amazing. I should say, as a runner, I don't see any reason that would slow down. Especially, the Titans haven't been that great, but at least the Niners offensive line is better than the Steelers offensive line. So they should do solid.
Yeah, like it's such a weird stat. Like, if you just go through like game logs for Debo Samuel, you had Alpha Debo when Brandon Ayuk was quote unquote injured and then getting back into the swing of things. It was pretty much Debo, and you had no Kittle either. So he was the only game in town for the 49ers, and the dude was putting up, I believe he was like wide receiver 2 by like week 8. And then Elijah Mitchell started getting banged up in the running game, and then he started getting used in the running game. He scored a touchdown every single week. Except for week 13 that he didn't play against Seattle, but he is still just leaving off He's not giving you the receiving work, that we were accustomed to early in the season, but by hook or by crook, he's still putting up fantasy points, and that's what we need. It's different avenues. It's expanded his game. It's expanded the way you think about him, because he's not just a pigeonhole wide receiver. He can score in a multitude of ways. He doesn't have to be, shut out in the wide receiver, receiving game. He can do it on the ground, and that versatility is gonna, absolutely win him over. I talked about, on Twitter a few days ago, how I thought Debo Samuel was going to be the hardest rank in 2022, just because now that we've seen him in this rushing role, how are they going to utilize that in 2022? We still have a quarterback issue to worry about, but ride this wave while you got him. I absolutely trust Debo Samuel. He's going to put up points. Like I said, he scored a touchdown in the last 5 games that he's played, multiple touchdowns in 2 of those games. So he's really come back, last week, 4 for 60, 5 targets, the most targets he's seen since week 11. Add to that rushing total, you've got just a stud. It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you do it, and he's doing it.
Lobby for running back eligibility.
No. Keep him at wide receiver.
He's like what we, Cordell Patterson gave him the baton, and it's pretty much been like Debo taking over for him, because it is what Cordell Patterson had the great first half of the season, and I'm actually going to toss the baton to you, Gary, with your player that you trust. This is just a perfect segue. I actually didn't plan that, but when things work out, things work out.
No, this is fantastic. I was going to drop another Debo stat, but with Cordero, the reason I feel like Cordero needs to be on here is, as I said last week, I really like to highlight guys that you might be wondering and starting to question, what do I do here? Cordero last week on Fantasy Pros, their ECR expert consensus rankings, was still a top 8. I think it was top 6 even, running back play. And this week, again, he's back up there. And yet this past week, he kind of shat the bed. He was 11 rushes for 18 yards with only a couple receptions. And the concern was his receptions have dipped as of late. Strangely, they have switched this back to Mike Davis being much more of the receiving back, but I don't care. I think even though he bottomed out this past week, he still had a rushing touchdown because of the Niners kickoff, muffed kickoff or whatever, and he scored a touchdown. It just got called back and ended up being overturned. He still had 3 rushing attempts within, I believe it was the 5 zone. I mean, they're clearly attempting to get him the ball. They want to, even if there's all this talk about managing his workload, which is the weirdest thing to say about a 31-year-old back on a non-playoff team. What the hell are you managing his workload for? But I don't care. I just think he is awesome. Oh, and who do they get to play this coming week? The Detroit Lions. Say what you will about the Detroit Lions and what they did against the Cardinals. I still think that Cordero is this offense. They will continue to use him as such. And if they can get a lead, which who knows, I would say the Lions probably win this game. That I still think that Patterson is going to be heavily involved. And going into your playoffs, I still think you can trust him. And I wouldn't waver on that. He still is going to be, for me, a back. He's a middle RB2. He's not going to be that RB8 that the ECR has him. He's going to be that 15 to 18 range with upside.
I love it. He should have got that touchdown last week. It infuriated me when they called it back because, he was in. The Lions, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the game script goes with Jared Goff being on the COVID list and how that's going to play out and possibly getting Swift back. So I'm not sure how far behind Atlanta's going to be playing, but he's a lock.
Yeah. Say what you want about Cordell Patterson. But yeah, Detroit is the defense that pretty much cures all ails if you're a running back or wide receiver or pretty much any position on the offense. He's not a gimmick. Jared Berry, fantasy coach JB. I'm telling you right now, I've been saying it in the group chat for pretty much this entire season. Cordell Patterson is not a gimmick. Yeah, Mike Davis is kind of eating into a little bit of that, but I'm not sure, managing a workload. Atlanta's not a great team. They're not really playing for anything, even though the NFC is wide open. It's not wide open for the Falcons, so I don't know why you're trying to manage a workload for him. But, Patterson reminds me of is like those really, really good Patriots teams of 2017. Reminds me of James White, but if James White ran the ball a lot more. Like right now, he's coming up to about 10. I think he has 10 total touchdowns on the season. He's going to have 50 catches. Going to have about 600 yards. He's still going to end up having about 700 yards of rushing. I mean, that is just a fantastic season that nobody saw coming. By the way, and add to that, if you have kickoff scoring in your leagues, he like draft with Giants, he is an absolute league winner. I mean, he's a league winner anyway. He got you pretty much to the playoffs. He hasn't been great, but if you're trusting him in your semifinals or your finals, whatever the case would be in week 16, Cordell Patterson's a great start. For me, a top 6 play this week against Detroit. That game might go back and forth because neither team's really that great, but they might be just bad enough to let, if it's Jared Goff or if it's whoever else at quarterback, I don't even know if it really matters. I mean, both defenses are just not great. Can't trust either. So there's going to be some scoring in this game, I think.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with it. And I do think that one of the things that almost hurt the Falcon, or that hurt the Patterson, was that Russell Gage caught a really good touchdown. I mean, the catch was good, but also the Niners DB just kind of like shit the bed. And something like that, I just don't know how often that's going to happen. I think that Patterson is going to have even more drives where he continues to be involved. So.
Yeah, and the Lions corners are actually doing a decent job. So I think that, Gage gets shut down a little bit more and Patterson kind of takes over more of that role this week too.
I don't know if I just did something. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I was trying to, because of the light, this happened last week. I have this light over me and my wife brought it up, and then you guys did also. The fan and the light is crazy loud. So I try to stay muted when I'm not talking. Otherwise, because I know you guys can hear it, and then your solo layout is right next to my mic. I'm sorry. Great podcasting.
All right, really stop. No, I know you wanted to talk about Tyler Lockett too, Gary.
Yes, I did. So I was waffling between Patterson and Lockett, and I don't know if Lockett is somebody that you need to be reminded of that you should start, but I think because he missed last week and because the Seahawks passing attack has been down, we think about DK and what DK hasn't done lately, and oh my gosh, like this is crazy. This is such a problem. I feel like we forget that Lockett has been awesome. And going into draft season, if you were like me, like Lockett was a steal where you were getting him in the 5th, potentially even 6th round, because he seemed like he could easily finish top 10, even though he maybe had a down year because of his injuries. But in last year, he had the 10 touchdowns, the year before 8. We're at week 16, so we still have 2 weeks left. He is going to pass last year's yardage mark. He will be lower on the receptions, but I don't think he's going to get the 10 touchdowns, but it's not crazy to think that he's going to get to 7, potentially 8 touchdowns in the next 2 weeks. And this is a team that the defense isn't that great. Wilson loves Lockett. He loves looking for him. I'm just pumped. Like, if you have Lockett, he should be in your lineup. The problem, and I want to ask you guys this because I don't know what the data, I don't know anything. Is there a correlation, or is it just possible narrative of coming off of COVID and potentially having a down game a la Amari Cooper. I never heard anything about Lockett having crazy symptoms. I never heard any of that stuff. So I'm starting him no matter what. The only concern that I can even think of having would be, oh, he's coming off COVID. We don't really know, but I don't really care. Seahawks are getting their ass embarrassed left and right. They need to do something because that entire front office is gone, and potentially Russell Wilson is gone at the end of the season. They need to play lights out these next 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, Garrett Gilbert had a better completion percentage than Russell Wilson did this week without Lockett. I mean, he clearly doesn't trust Metcalf. He doesn't trust really anybody else on this receiving core except for Lockett. I think that we can probably assume that since he's going to be activated off of COVID this week, that it was a mild case and that he was probably vaxxed. So I'm not as worried about COVID fatigue and the lack of conditioning with him as I was with Cooper, because it was clear that Cooper wasn't vaccinated. And so the symptoms were a little bit harder, but yeah, this schedule going forward is just amazing. And Lockett is Russ's number one dude. I mean, I love it.
Here's my thing with Tyler Lockett. Now, I do like Lockett as a player. I think, their schedule sets up pretty well. They got, the Rams and then Chicago and Detroit. It's just the pace of play. They're the slowest, they run the least amount of plays. Luckily for them, they're at least very condensed between it's Lockett and Metcalf, and then, on those random games that you'll have Gerald Everett or maybe a Swain or Eskridge or whatever the case may be. But that's a lot of the concern that I have with Seattle, is just the fact that they #establish the run no matter who they have, and then split it up between all these guys. And then, like I said, I would say this on, the calm before the storm as well. Pretty much flip a coin, within like the first 10 seconds of a game when Seattle's on offense, who is going to be the breadwinner in Seattle that week, whether it's Metcalf, Lockett, or whatever the case may be. So that's the only concern I have about him, but he's been a top 11 wide receiver the last 2 weeks. So I think there's, before he didn't really play the Rams, but, those 2 weeks don't have any data as far as guys coming off of COVID. So, it is what it is, but I think Lockett is still at least borderline top 12 play. Yeah, Seattle's pretty much just going to have to air it out. From here on in, they're really not, like I said, not playing for much themselves. So yeah, it's dicey times there in the Pacific Northwest. I think, Wilson's probably, if he's not gone, he's close, to being gone, and we'll see where he ends up. Gonna throw a wrench into Tyler Lockett because they paid him. Metcalf is still on that rookie deal too. So yeah,
I can't wait to do the ideal landing spots free agent podcast where we just get to throw out stuff where we each think that they're going to go, and Wilson and Rodgers are just, sorry, Kevin, are going to be so fun to discuss.
That's all right. I think Rodgers is still going to be in Green Bay. Honestly,
even
and that's not a home.
Even if he doesn't win the Super Bowl.
I just can't see it. It's more of a gut thing than anything. I honestly can't see all these teams ponying up money, for Aaron Rodgers. It's going to take some ridiculous maneuvering, and the teams that have money aren't, they either have young quarterbacks or they're not set up for a 39-year-old quarterback. So it's tough, but I think the best place still for Rodgers is in Green Bay. I think this year may, have done a lot for him as far as a commitment to wanting to at least put, their best foot forward and trying to win a championship. But Devontae Adams is also the elephant in the room too. You got to pay him. Green Bay's well behind with cap space. They're right behind the Saints as far as the negative cap space that they'll have going into 2022. My player that I trusted, I'll trust him with my GD life, is Mark Andrews. The last 5 weeks, Mark Andrews has no less than 9 targets. The dude is just, we talk about George Kittle just absolutely balling out, but Mark Andrews has done it. It doesn't matter if it's Lamar, doesn't matter if it's Tyler Huntley. no matter what. It's been Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews has been an absolute star. We know that this Ravens offense has had some issues with especially their third wide receiver, with Sammy Watkins going down, Bateman playing either like hardly any snaps when Watkins is there to when Watkins is hurt. He is pretty much getting a full workload, but it really doesn't matter because it's condensed in that offense between Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews. So, play that narrative of the young quarterback always looking to the tight end. You're looking at Mark Andrews 2 consecutive tight end 2 weeks, no lower than tight end 12 in the last 6 weeks. He's just a target machine right now. He has at least 10 catches in the last 2 games, at least 150 yards in these games as well, with touchdowns in consecutive weeks. He's absolutely lighting it up right now when you need him the most. So going up against Cincinnati, a game that the Ravens absolutely need, with how tight that AFC North is. And then they got to play the Rams and then round it out with Pittsburgh, which likely, if you're in the leagues that end of week 17, at least that Ravens-Rams game should be pretty competitive to where it's not going to be a wild game script one way or the other. Mark Andrews is absolutely, you really don't have to think about it anyway, because Mark Andrews has pretty much been the top tight end statistically and in fantasy, but that's just somebody to not overthink, and that's just been an absolute stud the entire year, but especially after the bye week.
Yeah, he is a grown-ass man, and he somehow always manages to get open. He always manages to find the football. I mean, it's just insane. He's really fun to watch too.
I was looking at my half-point league just because I wanted to see where Andrews currently is in the standings. I'm going to open a can of worms. I don't care. So, Mark Andrews is the 12th highest non-quarterback scorer. I didn't include a quarter. I just clicked flex. He is the number 12. He is currently the RB7 and the wide receiver 6. I think I'm right. Yeah, because then he would be 12. That's insane. And it just made me also just be like, holy shit, out of the top 10 players in this half-point league, only 3 are running backs. The rest are wide receivers. 4 are running backs. So, Kevin, 0 RB, man. All about it.
Yeah, like it's funny. Just Mark Andrews was like the tight end 5 in a lot of leagues, and even sometimes the tight end 6, going behind Pitts, going behind Hawkinson. And I understand that just based on you had the hype with Kyle Pitts, and then I was more on Hawkinson than I was on Andrews just because of the fact that they would likely need to just throw, going to be behind in so many games. You didn't know if Lamar, that whole passing game narrative with them drafting Rashad Bateman is going to come to fruition. But it pretty much has. I mean, Mark Andrews doesn't need to be on the field. The Ravens, Coop talks about this all the time. The Ravens play just the most personnel. They switch out all these guys out. But Mark Andrews has been pretty much a constant. I mean, the dude does not block either. He has played 6 total passing down snaps where he's blocked. 6 total in 14 games. Like, that's just wild. Like, that doesn't happen. You see, guys like, Kittle and all these other guys are blocking. They're always on the field. They're getting like almost 100% of the snap share. But Mark Andrews is there when it counts, running routes. He doesn't need to worry about blocking. They got Nick Boyle and Eric Tomlinson for that. So, Mark Andrews is always there when it counts, and, has just been fantastic for fantasy managers the entire season.
And just to put a bow on it, he is their wide receiver 1. I made a trade for him in a league. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to end up keeping a tight end. We don't really normally do that outside of Kelsey and I guess Kittle, and I'm totally going to do it because he's their wide receiver 1, even more so than I actually think the other 2 teams. 2, the biggest feather in his cap, I believe, to use a Kevin Tompkins term. The dude's he is quarterback proof. Huntley played week 11, 14, and 15. We know what the hell he did last week, man. I mean, he crushed it. But even in week 11 and week 14, Week 11, he had 10 targets, 8 for 73. And week 14, he had 11 targets, 11 for 115 and a touchdown. And then just because it's fun to talk about, last week, 13 targets, 10 receptions for 136 and 2 touchdowns. The dude is he's electric. I mean, he's the type of person that you want to be, you want to hug, and you're just happy if you have him.
You want a hug? I'll hug Mark Andrews. I don't care.
Hell yeah, everyone wants to hug Andrews.
Who doesn't? Andy's been playing way more in the slot the last 3-4 weeks than he did in the beginning of the season too. So it's basically if you just rolled up Mike Gesicki and George Kittle, took the best parts of both of them, and got Mark Andrews.
It's a beautiful thing.
It. And I love that his 14 touchdown season was just like, oh, this is a blip. Like, no, whatever. He's not going to do anything. It's just touchdowns. And then this comes back, and it's just like, in your face.
I love it. So yeah, we got the positivity out of the way. Let's end this with some negative stuff because we're a bunch of haters, obviously. Players that we do not trust. Which is, it seems like, 3/4 of the NFL at this point, when you're trying to put guys in your roster. I can just come up with a bunch of guys right now, but we're going to talk about 3 or 4 here, maybe even an entire team. But Britt, I will see this one to you. What player are you not trusting in week 16, for fantasy playoffs?
Do it, Britt.
So this feels really hard to say because I was so high on him going into the season and he's really done well. But this is the point in the season where it counts. And last week, Najee Harris put up a dud. I mean, the Steelers O-line is just trash, to be honest. Najee only had 18 yards on 12 carries. I think Najee got 5 targets, but only caught 2 of them for like minimal yardage. I mean, it was just bad. And I could just be salty because he personally cost me a matchup, but I don't think I am. He's one of those that like I can't bench because who else out there really is there out there to play? But I do not feel great about him going into this matchup this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. You take the deep breath. You take too long. Like, it's so you can't bench him, but you just have to be like on. I don't know, on pins and needles, just wondering what the heck is going to happen. I don't know. On the flip side, like we thought he was going to be trash against, it was the Vikings, right? And then he ended up having like 2 touchdowns. He had all this stuff. Like he is one of the few running backs I can think of where you're on a shitty team. Like I don't care what we love Deontay. We love Najee. No one likes Ben. No one likes this offense. It's the weirdest thing in the world, and yet he's a top 5 running back currently, and Deontay's great. And yet we're still so nervous about playing him in the playoffs. Like I don't know. It's terrible. Who would you rather start this week? This is to Britt. Saquon or Najee?
Oh, I mean, I think you have to start Najee over Saquon, but that's because the quarterback situation in New York is still unresolved. And I mean, well, we could segue to Kevin's don't trust on that one, but
I didn't even mean to do that.
We're just coming out with winning segues here. I love it.
Yeah.
About Najee. I mean, he is the like poster child of receiving work matters for running backs, especially if you're going to take them in the back half of the first round, which Najee Harris will probably be next year. I mean, he was starting to creep up there anyway, but I think he'll probably settle into that. It depends on their quarterback situation, depends on what they do to fortify the offensive line, but I still think young running back, knowing that he's going to get, the lion's share of that work and receiving work. I mean, he's pretty much like David Montgomery, but almost like a sexier version right now. So, yeah, I mean, just, it seems like so long ago. And it was that the dude had that 19 target game, just because, Ben Roethlisberger's out here throwing, 1 pound of sugar, to his receivers. He can't throw more than 2 yards, but yeah, Najee Harris is just a weird case. The fact that he's still, PPR RB4 is kind of wild to me. because it's just such a drop off after Taylor, Eckler, Mixon, to pretty much everybody else. It's almost been like, you only get so many shots at, picking the RB1, the guy, the Jonathan Taylor. And then everybody else is almost, Eckler, like I said, Eckler and Mixon have been right there and have been pretty good, but it's almost a loss if you're taking some of these guys, even like Zeke and Harris. Yeah, they've kind of buoyed you, but it's just where you're drafting them. The value just does not match up, at least for me. But that's an argument for that we'll surely have, especially when Coop gets here. But yeah, Najee Harris against the Chiefs, I just do not like that. I'll probably have him outside of my top 12 running backs this week, though. You pretty much, if you have him and you made it to your semifinals, I mean, you're not playing the guy. You're probably just really tempering expectations on Najee Harris. I mean, the dude is going to get work. He's gotten 26 opportunities, 23 opportunities, and then 17. So the dude's getting like 17 to 22 opportunities, targets, and rush attempts each week. So that's really hard to kind of poo-poo, for lack of a better term. But yeah, Harris, you pretty much have to start him at this point.
Is Zeke the worst top, what is he, RB8? RB7 that you can remember, just like how he feels on a week-to-week, just the nervousness of starting him? Don't include Cordell Patterson because he's in that same range, but he's a one-hit wonder. I
mean, probably, yeah. Like, I'm going to take a look right now at the top. I'm just kind of I was going off memory there, assuming, it's Taylor, Eckler, Mixon. Yeah, Connor's RB4. Hold on. Let me get to PPR. Najee Harris is 4, Mixon's 5, Fournette's 3. That he'll drop off.
But like where they're at right now, like,
it's
points, like,
it's gross.
Fournette and Connor don't feel gross. Like Zeke, you start him, and this is total recency bias because he started off the season like lights out. But I mean, he's had less than 10, less than 6, less than 9. Like, those are 3 of his last 5 games. And it's just like, you're supposed to be this stud muffin, and here you are just crushing our souls.
Yeah, since the bye, I don't think he's put up over 50 yards in more than like 1 or 2 games. And I mean, they're not using him for the end zone really. So it's tough.
It's crazy that you just became a Tony Pollard truther over the course of that statement, but it's okay, Britt. We support you.
Welcome to the team, Britt.
I will never.
I've been on Team Tony Pollard since like August. Not gonna lie. Yeah, and you know how good Derrick Henry is? He's still RB10. He hasn't played in 6-7 weeks.
God,
that's insane.
Talk about wanting to hug someone. I can't even put my arms around him. I would just be like, hey, I'm going to squeeze you because I can't hug you.
When I put out my my zero RB manifesto, you better believe that this running back kind of depth after the first 3 or 4, that's getting played. I'm gonna play those like my greatest hits because
5. It's 5 running backs, so it's gonna be JT. I think it's gonna be Dalvin. And Henry. Not in no particular order, Najee, and then I'm already missing somebody that we've already been talking about, and I can't believe I'm doing that. Oh, and Eckler.
Kamara's still, almost 19 fantasy points.
Say again?
I mean, Kamara's still averaging about 19 fantasy points too.
That's
so
7. He's still my beating heart.
Yeah, let me. I was getting there.
Hey, I made
What's up,
it,
buddy.
What's up, gang? Sorry I was late. Very late.
Fashionably
And festively late, but I'm here, y'all. Cheers.
Yeah, I love the lights, buddy.
Got him. Yeah, dude. Back from the wilderness in New Hampshire.
Did you go candlepin bowling?
Real festival. I mean, dude, they have candlepin all throughout here, man, and it's terrible. I
think you and me are like the only people that know what candlepin bowling are.
I'm Googling it as we talk.
It's awful. It's like
it's a YouTube wormhole.
I had no idea that it was like not everywhere. Like growing up, it was always like, do you want to do regular bowling? Do you want to do candlepin? Do you want to do like the bumpers? Like I thought it was everywhere, and then people were like, "What the hell is that?" So yeah,
If I remove him right now, does he have to sign back in?
Yeah, us,
This
us
shit's
Northeast boys.
disturbing. Ew.
Candlepin, are you looking at it?
Yeah, us,
Super gross.
us Northeast boys. We know what's up.
It literally looks like somebody tried to like make their own bowling alley like at home.
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much.
Yeah.
I kind of want to.
I can't get the shape right.
Yeah, just whatever, dude.
Yeah,
just,
somebody on that bandsaw just hacked it up.
We'll just throw
Everybody
this.
listening is Candlepin bowling right now.
We'll throw this softball at it. Yeah, Candlepin, dude.
So, Coop, I know you're just jumping in here. Right now, we're talking about Najee Harris and how we do not trust him. And we got off on a tangent about running backs pretty much after the first four that are kind of gross. So if you have a Najee Harris take, the floor is yours, my friend.
The thing is, dude, I do trust Najee Harris just because he plays every snap. I mean, he played more snaps than all the wide receivers, all the tight ends. I mean, the Chiefs aren't necessarily an easy defense to run on these days, but I mean, like at least you know that he's going to play every single snap. He's going to be out there for all of them. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to go away from him. I mean, like what caliber of player do you have to have both as your RB2 and your flex to say, I'm going to go away from a guy that's playing legitimately the highest percentage of snaps of any running back? Is there a running back that plays a higher percentage of snaps than Najee Harris?
Not really, no.
I don't think there is.
I will have to check the data barrage.
The barrage will tell us. I mean, I could just Google it.
The Barragio.
I have a lot of time to look up stats on players that I didn't know I was going to be talking about, but I'm pretty sure that he's like way up there in terms of percentage. So, I mean, what did you guys? You guys did not trust him?
I do trust him, but I feel like this is very Nick Chubb from last week, just because, and it was a Brit person, and we totally agreed on this, that the concern was just like what the hell are you seeing? And it's almost without that touchdown, kind of what happens, which I would say that's running backs, but the reality of like that offense is just hitting a low point, and in particular for both of them because of COVID last week with Chubb, and then now it's like that the offensive line is just putrid, and it's so nerve-wracking. I am hoping as a Najee player this week that we see the same outcomes as last week, but the process was correct over the outcome.
Yeah, I think for me, like, so I have it up now, right? He's played 806 snaps. The next highest is Zeke Elliott at 685. He's played literally 100 more snaps than the next highest guy. His 85% average is almost 10% higher than the next highest. The next highest are David Montgomery and Alvin Kamara, who both missed games. So, I mean, at least you know he's going to be in there every single snap. And if the game goes their way, which it probably won't, he's kind of locked into the work. I mean, for me, I just like, what caliber of player are you starting over him? Like, you guys, like, let me throw something out to you three guys, right? Let's say you're sitting there with Miles Sanders. Are you starting him over Najee Harris?
No, I don't
Not
think
usually.
that we're benching him, but it's just more of like a temper expectations, kind of be prepared for this game script to go against his production.
Don't put him in your DFS lineups, is what you're saying.
Basically.
Like I basically called him a sexier David Montgomery, and I think with how he the snaps that he gets, and we know he's going to be out there. David Montgomery, I mean, you said it, David Montgomery, yeah, he missed time, but probably on a per game basis, he's probably, like I said, he's right up there with Kamara, he's right up there with Zeke. So yeah, I mean, he's getting all the opportunity. He's gotten 20 carries the last 2 of the last 3 weeks. He's getting, set between 17 and 23 opportunities. So, I mean, it is what it is. He's probably not going to have, he's not going to get you a stealing projection, but if you got this far, you kind of pretty much, you have to play him.
Yeah. I mean, Gary warned us of this way back in the offseason, right? Gary said this line stinks. Big Ben, old. and now we're kind of right there. And that's kind of the way it is. Like, if you've been listening to the show from the beginning and you still decided to draft Najee Harris, you made your bed a very long time ago. I know, Gary. Yeah, there you are. So, but you made that bet a long time ago, and not Gary. You were right on both fronts that he would get a ton of snaps and that the line would be bad. So it's
That's what I do, man. I just win.
right.
So, Coop, I know you're just hopping in here and you're getting back in the swing of things. So we could dip back into the players we trust. If you got somebody that in week 16 that, you're putting all your chips in, you trust them with your life. I talked about Mark Andrews. Britt talked about Debo. Gary had Cordell Patterson, a Lockett. Who's a guy for you?
So for me, I can throw it out there that I'll go as far as to say that I trust not only this week, but next week. And if you're one of those total weirdos that has a terrible league and your championships in week 18, then you need to reach out to your commissioner and tell him to change that. But this guy also has a good matchup that week. So Zach Ertz is a guy that I'm like, we just watched Hunter Henry score 2 touchdowns and he was very close to having 3. Leonard,
the hen house was rocking.
There were some hen dogs in the hen house, but Darius Leonard stole one of those touchdowns away, but he was so close to having 3. He gets Indy this week. Next week he gets Dallas, which is a pretty good matchup, and then week 18 he gets Seattle, which is another really good matchup. Like, Zach Ertz is a guy that, with DeAndre Hopkins out, given his Kyler clearly looks at him first in the red zone and usually throws it to him first. I mean, half of them have been interceptions the last couple of games, but he goes to him. 11 targets last week. Like, I trust Zach Ertz like over a lot of guys like Dallas Goedert in his matchup, guys like that. Like, I would start Zach Ertz pretty much over anybody except for the guys that are locked in. Kelsey, Andrews, Kittle. But I mean, Ertz is right there, so that's my guy.
Yeah, I really like Ertz, and throughout week 13, where I think they only dropped back like 20 times in that game, 7 targets, 11 targets. I mean, without Hopkins, it's pretty much Kirk. We've seen that the Cardinals they're just so steadfast in how they do not want to use Rondale Moore in any creative ways. And then AJ Green has like no neural link at all with Kyler Murray on that interception. So, right now it's pretty much Christian Kirk and Zach Ertz, and I'll definitely trust Ertz. I mean, the dude's running about 90% of routes this past week. He's right where you want him as far as how much he's getting on the field and how much he's being targeted by Kyler Murray. So yeah, Zach Ertz, all about it. He's probably going to be like tight end 5-6 for me.
Yeah, it's really hard because I have, obviously I drafted Kyle Pitts, but Kyle Pitts hasn't been getting it done over the past, month and a half, 2 months. And so I've had Ertz as my backup. And at this point in the season, I'm really struggling with I don't really need 2 tight ends, but I don't want to drop either one of these guys to waivers, like going into a championship week because, Pitts is playing against Detroit and then you've got Ertz there. So it's kind of a conundrum for me.
I'm excited to see him blow up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that at this point, like even in PPR, which is like the Pitts homeland, like I'm still starting Ertz. I mean, he got 11 targets, 7 targets week before.
Those people made that when you drafted. I mean, Coop, you talked about it too in like July and August. If you're drafting Kyle Pitts at his absolute ceiling, in the 4th or 5th round, and for whatever reason he doesn't do anything, you made your bet and you have to lie in it. Like, that's where you're at with Kyle Pitts.
I told people day one, that's one of the ones where I said, like, if you're going to go and draft him as a tight end 4, which you had to, like, that's the game. That's where you're at. Like, and I told people, my guys, I was like, if Andrews and Hawkinson go, then take Pitts, but also take another guy to be safe. And then you have permission to not start Pitts every week. If you drafted Pitts at his ADP at the tight end 4, like, you committed to this. Like, you're in. So, like, you just got to go for it. Britt, is that you? Yep. Sorry, am I talking directly to you?
I mean, yeah, my name is 99 problems, but a Pitts ain't one. I mean, I built my whole team about having Kyle Pitts. So,
and now your team is the Pitts.
In. No, I'm in first place, but I'm just
because you're good at
that. Well, I monitor and adjust, I guess.
That's all I can do. Yeah, if you lost like a guy, like I have Waller almost pretty much, almost everywhere. I could get him, and then guys like Hawkinson. Ertz was a guy that you could probably get on the waiver wire in like week 5, week 6, as soon as he got traded to Arizona. You could pretty much grab him, and that was like the pickup because I think he's been tight end 2 or 3 since. So, I mean, that was your window right there. If you got Ertz, you likely didn't have him the whole season, but you had to pick him up in the first, second quarter of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So players we don't trust. Gary, I will shuffle this off to you here for player or two that you do not trust for week 16.
All right. So I do have 2 lined up because one is conditional. And I actually want this just be an open question to the 3 of you, and I'd love to hear you guys each answer. What do you do with Mahomes if Hill and Kelsey are out? I don't remember the last time that both of them were out, and they're both on the COVID list for Hill and for Kelsey. I believe that at least one of them has a good chance to be off. I don't know if both of them do. I don't know Hill's vaccination status. Something I read implied that Kelsey was vaccinated. And relative to the new protocol, I believe it's asymptomatic and 1 negative test and you can still play. So what do you do if they were both out? And we can just go around without going in a super deep discussion. Is Mahomes a top 12 quarterback without Hill and Kelsey? Kevin.
It's tough, but if you have another option, at least the top 12-ish option. I mean, I know those aren't exactly just kind of floating around there, but if you got to start them, I mean, at the very least, you have probably somebody that is able to overcome those 2 guys at the very least. It's kind of a long shot, but
is he a top 12 quarterback without Hill and Kelsey is the question.
He's borderline for me.
Coop?
I didn't jump in here to be answering questions like this, Gary. I choose
Coop with the softballs.
Exactly. I literally figured I'd come in here with the thing, with a beer, throwing a couple softballs. Now I'm getting asked questions like this. Is Patrick Mahomes good without all his good players? I don't know.
He's really good. Wait. He is very good, but he's also playing the Steelers, who have a soft run defense. I mean, Dalvin Cook just cut him up like cheddar, like no big deal. That being said, you have CEH, you have Darryl, and all of a sudden you're like Noah Gray, blow up game, Blake Bell or something.
I'll put it this way. If you got to know your format first and foremost. Like if you're in a 4-point or 6-point passing league. If you're in a 4-point passing league, I think you can find enough of these like scrappy guys that are, like the Tuas, like Tua you mentioned, you know what I mean? Or like a Tannehill's maybe out there that is, that rushing touchdown changes everything. Two rushing touchdowns are 3 passing touchdowns. So, if they're out there, but I wouldn't go crazy getting too cute, starting like
Jared
Goff, Mac Jones, like anything crazy like that. Like you just start Pat Mahomes and just hope that with a game on his shoulders, he goes out and does something, So I think I still have him right in that neighborhood. We're talking about a guy that we always have, top 3, 4. So I think you could still rank him as a back-end QB1.
But who was terrible when he had Hill and Kelsey for various spots this season? Just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Britt, I want to know from Britt now.
Yeah,
is Mahomes top 12 without Hill and Kelsey?
I don't think so. I think that they're gonna do a real run-heavy script. I think that CEH and Darryl both are gonna have big roles, and I don't think that Mahomes hits maybe over 225 passing yards. I don't like it. I don't like it this week.
So this is clearly a 1 week I don't trust. I just want to throw that out there.
I'll just say this. I think at the very least, I think he's good for 280 and 2 touchdowns. And that's like right around, that's the QB 12, QB 13, 14, that kind of mark. And that's fine. Obviously expecting more, but I see no reason why, even like with the scraps that they have, McCole Hardman and Demarcus Robinson, Bringle, why he can't at least do that.
That's kind of all you need.
That makes sense.
It's kind of all you need in this world, though. 280 and 2 touchdowns. Like that's
And you should be able to get that. If you're the best quarterback in the NFL, like literally historically the best relative to where you're at, you should be able to get that. It's not as if that Hardman and Pringle suck. It's not as if, you have Noah Gray, you have Blake Bell, like you have Demarcus Robinson, and you have CEH who like you lobbied to get. Like I see it, but in terms of the trust, that's what this question is. Like if Hill and Kelsey aren't there, can you lose with him on your bench, and could you lose with him could you lose with him going off on your bench, and could you be okay in your soul for the next 6 months in the off season with him being your starter and he puts up 9? I just don't. I will say yes. I'm going to go with Mahomes no matter what. I have not weighed in on that. I think he's top 12. I'm just saying it.
Yeah, I say unless you have another guy that's a beast, then you go Mahomes. And if you have Mahomes on your team, then you probably don't have another guy that's a beast because you probably weren't, grabbing those guys of flavors. So I think the people that are Mahomes are in the Kyle Pitts wagon where they're committed to the player they have.
Yeah, committed.
You can throw that for like any of like the top 6 quarterbacks too. Yeah.
Fun. Sorry, guys.
No, we're having fun. Let's. I'm gonna have some fun here, and I'm gonna talk about
asking the tough questions, Gary, which is what we should be doing in this podcast. But not when I show up late.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna lob all you guys a softball when I start talking about the New York Giants. It's players you don't trust. I'm not trusting anybody, like nobody, and I don't think this is like breaking news or anything. That is a video that I need to put back up here. It's my breaking news because I do think it's on the Fantasy Besties one, but it's not on this one. But if you're talking about this passing game, you're not exactly going to the voting machine and putting your chips in on the Jake Fromm, Mike Glennon ticket. Anytime soon. You're not doing that. Daniel Jones has a neck injury, is likely not back. He's throwing to right now the shell of Kenny Galladay. Sterling Shepard is out for the season. Evan Ingram is dust. Sorry, Coop. Darius. Yeah, you're muted. That's probably a good thing. I'm
actually not muted. I just went, what?
I swear to God, I thought you were muted, but it's okay. I'm sticking with that. Darius Slayton, God, it doesn't even matter. I can't even talk about any of these guys anymore. But then even Saquon Barkley can't even save this because for some reason he's still splitting time. I don't know if it's just because of the injury, but he's splitting time with Devontae Booker, which helps absolutely nobody but me in the Lightning Round Best Ball Challenge, by the way, because I think I'm the only person who has him rostered. So go me. But yeah, Saquon Barkley right now is pretty much you're playing for 2022, hoping you can recoup some of that value somehow, some way. Maybe it's with a new head coach. Maybe with, they'll bring in, I don't know who the hell they would bring in an offense. It's not going to be anybody sexy. We know that. So I am hands off of all New York Giants going forward. There's nobody here you can trust, even if it's Saquon Barkley, even if it's Kenny Galladay.
Well, you can call me a clown if you want, but I'm starting Evan Ingram in a lot of leagues this week against the Eagles. My plan in a lot of leagues has been from the start to start Evan Ingram and then start Hunter Henry next week. So Evan Ingram against the Eagles, Hunter Henry next week against the Jaguars. I'm doing it, and I don't care. So I do trust Evan Ingram this week in my own leagues. I would not advise people to start him in their leagues. I made that pretty clear with my rankings, which are now out. If you go to Coupe Fiasco, he's not super high, but he's high enough that for me, I've had this plan in place. I'm still alive and I'm executing it, and it's going to be awesome. And I'm definitely going to brag on Twitter. And if I'm wrong, I'm just not going to mention it. So
talk about somebody high enough.
Coop, one more thing here before put the red nose back up on your on your nose. Coop, with your nose so bright, are you hoping Evan Ingram guides your touchdown sleigh tonight?
We're coming in hot, baby. We're either delivering.
We'll take a 20-yard gain at this point.
We're either delivering presents all across the world, or we're gonna land somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. That's where we're at with Evan Ingram, but we're going for it. So
yeah, you're gonna end up swimming next to some deck chairs of the Titanic.
You can clip this then.
It's clipped. It will be.
I want to play, because we just like did all this for the entire Giants team. I want to play this or that with running backs relative to Fantasy Pros, ECR, which Kevin is one of their expert consensus rankings. I apologize if Cooper Britt are. I just did not know that until right now, but I know that Kevin is. And so Saquon Barkley, half-point PPR for this week. James Conner or Saquon Barkley? Someone answer.
It's
Well,
Connor for me.
I'm a little worried about Connor because he wasn't at practice today. So I don't know if he re-aggravated that injury, but saying that he is a healthy go, then I still have to go Connor.
Yeah,
Melvin
that assumes
Gordon.
he's healthy. I'll take him over Barkley.
Okay. Melvin Gordon or Saquon Barkley?
Gordon.
Gordon.
Against Vegas. And then the last one, I'm going to ask Coop, because he hasn't answered yet.
I've been trying to avoid it.
CEH or Saquon Barkley this week?
I think that I'm going to go with CEH, honestly. I mean, like, we were worried about, Darrell Williams taking snaps, but last week he didn't really take that many snaps. So I think that I would go CEH. But I mean, in the leagues where, dude, like, how many leagues do you have where you have 3 running backs that are good enough to bench Barkley? That's where I'm at. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like
go. Sorry.
I feel like I personally don't have leagues where Barkley is not in my flex, at least. Like, even if I put CEH into the, even if I'm like, one of those guys where I'm like, I rank it the way how I feel confidence wise, but CEH would be my flex spot no matter what, because he plays at 4:00. So I would have Barkley in my RB2 spot. But if I did have that many good running backs, then I'd feel great about it, and I would just start my safest possible players, which would be CEH.
Or an even better question, how many teams even made the playoffs if you drafted Saquon Barkley in the first round? I mean, by and large, you're probably not there unless you drafted Cooper Kupp and Joe Mixon, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, pretty much hit on everything else.
My dynasty team just stumbling around now, missing Chris Godwin, AJ Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Derrick Henry. Like, this team, the reason I'm here is because of those guys, and now they're all gone. So, like, Saquon Barkley is one of my best players that I have left.
Well, good luck with good luck with Cyril Grayson.
I'm starting Eli Wolf.
You might as well, I'd say Johnny Munt, but I think he's still on the COVID list.
You want Eli Wolf on a team? I gotta start Eli Wolf watch. Eli Wolf watch.
I just
are we gonna?
Spray.
We'll be the Wolf Pack.
Like
Eli Wolf Pack.
Looks like he's currently on the Colts practice squad. Eli Wolf is still alive.
Oh my god. He's the new Mo Alley Cox next year, isn't he?
Who just made the wolf sound? Is that you, Gary?
Yeah.
Wolf watch. This week's edition of Wolf watch.
The Wolf of Wall Street. Stock up, stock down.
It's still only 24, man.
An entire 24-second segment.
Wolf watch.
Wolf each week.
If it ends up where we get Eli Wolf on here, then it's worth it.
I mean, it might have to, man. So strong, so fast, possibly albino.
So hot right now,
dude. Like, on the Colts, getting paid to play football. I mean, what more can you ask for? So,
I know.
Brett, let me ask you, how do you feel about Eli Wolf?
I have no idea who that even is.
I don't even know what team he's on right now.
Exactly.
He's like,
he's just some
part of this.
He's some meme tight ends that, like, his athletics are off the chart, but yeah, he hasn't quite caught on yet.
He's like Dan Arnold before actually started playing football, pretty much.
It's like Tom Arnold.
There's a chance.
He might be Roseanne Arnold.
He's still in the practice squad right now.
Well, something happens
with the
with Kylan
Ravens?
Granson.
Shoot,
No.
three or four tight ends on the Colts get hurt, and he's ready to rock, right?
That dude's blocking. That dude will have no blocking snaps. That dude will be in the end. That dude will be a week 18 1-for-1 for a touchdown.
Yeah. Britt, this guy was on the Ravens practice squad all last year, and I was like, this is the guy that comes up if Mark Andrews gets hurt. All year, I'm like, dude, this is happening. And then Eli Wolf gets hurt the week before Mark Andrews gets COVID, and they just they're just like, all right, smell you later. Like that was his chance. That was the moment.
He
They
was the
literally
Chiefs'
smell
Ricky
you
Seals
later.
Jones.
Oh, that's brutal, man.
But Ricky
Wait.
Seals Jones did emerge.
Yeah, that he did.
Fantasy is a cruel mistress.
Yeah. All right, Coop. Do you have any players that you do not trust, and then we will get out of here?
I didn't really do this, but I will say that
They just showed up.
I will say that all the Broncos wide receivers have to fall in that category for me, because like Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton played all the snaps this week. Jerry Jeudy only played
Not even 80.
He played like you're the data blast guy. Come on.
79%.
79%.
Barrage is
There it is.
okay. Get with the times, man.
Right?
He's
The Barragio has entered the
Barrage.
chat.
There we go, dude. So there you go. Kalen Barrage. So he like, so how do you trust any of these guys, dude? Jerry Jeudy just got you a 0 spot. Like if you had Jerry Jeudy and you're still alive, your team is a wagon, man, because zeros aren't doing it. And I mean, like Noah Fant's probably the best option on the team. Cortland Sutton has been trash. Tim Patrick is just a guy that catches touchdown every once in a while. I mean, like, I just don't know how you could possibly look at these guys and be like, yeah, I trust these guys. These are my boys.
And
I
Drew
mean, Tim
Lock
Patrick
is
is
just.
still-
Yo, go ahead.
YOLO.
But Tim Patrick is still like the best Jag you've ever seen. Dude's totally just a guy right now, and yet you're like, I feel like I should play him because he could blow up. I feel like Tim Patrick on any given week has a better chance, literal, like higher probability percentage wise to blow up than Jeudy or Sutton.
I feel like I feel like they have a coach on the roster that when Tim Patrick gets 5 targets, he comes out and says, nope, no more. Stop.
Where are you going from here?
Stop
No
now.
way.
They say no. They say no.
I think there's an excellent possibility that Tim Patrick, Zach Pascal, and Jericho Cotchery have a group chat going right now. Just of guys that just hang around, that get touchdowns every so often, that helps nobody.
Right.
I mean, who else is in that group chat?
Like, just guys that when they catch that, you're like, what tight end is that?
David
Like,
Moore.
Chris Conley.
Matt Collins.
Yeah, he might be in there.
Chris Conley actually doesn't catch enough touchdowns to be in there.
Philip Dorsett.
Oh my god. Demarcus Robinson.
That's like that's the plain yogurt group chat.
And you're
Like
like,
the
who
guys
is
that have no flavor, that do nothing for you, that help nobody.
Right.
But dudes are going to be like 10-year NFL vets. Like Philip Dorsett's like almost there right now.
Yeah, and when they score, you grab your phone to tweet, and then you're just like, oh.
It's the Jeff Garland, like the Curb Your Enthusiasm gif, like the who are you helping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Demir Bird has entered the chat.
Yeah.
Demir Bird.
Oh, yes. Oh my God.
And he's who's his understudy right now? Jakeem Grant.
The dude had value at some point. At least he had like the fastest little leg
In
that
draft
you've
with
ever
Giants,
seen.
yeah. That's about it. Like for kickoffs and stuff. But Jakeem Grant's, what's he, 5'7"? Like that dude's gonna play for 10 years and hang around somehow. He's gonna be on like 3 more teams.
You know who was that guy forever was Terrence Williams on the Cowboys. Where I was just like,
That
What?
dude might have been one of the forefathers of the all exercise.
the poster child, where I was like, what?
Like Jalen Guyton had a Terrence Williams poster on his wall growing up.
Someday.
Him and Ian Thomas had the same poster.
Well, Tebow had like dinosaur hands. He always tried to catch the ball like this, like with his elbows all the way extended, like
walrus.
Yeah, like the little T-Rex arms. Like he just couldn't do anything. It was awful. It was so infuriating to watch.
This thing
that was also
gets fast. Speaking of infuriating to watch, this thing actually gets faster. Look how fast these go.
I have a question, just to lead us out. Coop, what is the battery power for your amazing light? Because I wanted to reference it many times for anybody that's not watching the live stream. If you're listening to this and we're in your ear holes, you should go and put this on your eye holes so that you can see the amazingness of Coop's neck.
I don't know, man. I think it's just the regular, those like ones that you
just
put
your
in.
energy, like you are powering
nickel,
this with your awesomeness.
Like my Christmas cheer that I brought back from that very long drive. But I think it's like those like little nickel shaped batteries that you put in like all like calculators and stuff. I can only imagine these are probably toast soon. So enjoy them while they last.
Let's just stick to the Christmas cheer. You have like the elf like Christmas monitor. What we just showed that to my son last night. That's what's charging this. That's why it's beating so hard. That's just your heart rate from your excitement of seeing the three of us.
That's the excitement I'm gonna have when Drew Lock throws 2 touchdowns at Cortland Sutton.
I'm gonna go destroy a neighborhood bully in a snowball fight right after this.
Yes.
You're gonna beat up Chris Gardocki.
Yeah, exactly. For making
I got a belly. Never mind.
Yeah. I'm pretty much out of takes.
Yeah, so am I.
Christmas, yeah.
You want to talk about my beard for a little while too? We can do that.
Pretty strong.
It's good. It's getting there.
I got like at least 2 hours. We can talk about
each day. You're looking more and more like Cooper Kupp, bro. Like,
I'll allow it.
You got that cup vibe going, man. I don't know. Your Robert Woods jersey might not appreciate that, but it's right there. You guys seeing what I'm saying?
Kevin used to be a star lacrosse player.
Do you see what I see?
I just want to get it to, I talked about this earlier. I want to get it to the point where I can like tie it up like right here and throw like a rubber band or like a bead or something under there.
Do a man bun too.
Or like until no, I don't have the snow. I get too much snow up on the rooftop here to do that. Or until like Erin says something, which she probably will at some point, but I think we're getting down the rabbit hole. I think we can saddle up shop here.
That's probably good. Guys.
Brett, I don't know how you're still with us here, but you're
my favorite
doing a free show.
These really drive my eyes nuts. Right next to my eyes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is also the guy with epilepsy too. So
I know. Sorry, I should have warning.
No, you're good. I don't care. No, you're fine.
Sure.
I'm not gonna.
Sure.
Dampen your Christmas spirit for his issues.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm quite fine.
I got insurance. I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
we got air
cheer it up.
now. Someone probably does.
Well, cheer it up.
Garage is right there. We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Well, we are good, but
coming from Carson Wentz slander, so we're good now.
Yeah. Oh, and also Matthew Berry, if you're watching, I'm really sorry about all this. I know you were watching last week.
I don't even know these people. Why? How did I end up here?
Sorry, Matt.
Although, do have your book right here, though. So
I think I have a shirt that has his name on it, which is crazy because I'm also an analyst. So it's kind of strange having a shirt.
You literally have a shirt that just says Matthew Berry.
No, I think it was a gift. It was a gift that was given to me that was like a fantasy football shirt, but then at the bottom it says Matthew Berry, like it was from like Kohl's or something. Which I was
gonna say, I want an Andrew Cooper shirt that literally just says Andrew Cooper on it.
You know, well, we might have to make that happen.
Hashtag Koopa Loop.
Christmas
Koopa
lights.
Fiasco, my apologies.
Professional wide receiver.
Koopa Loop in my phone.
Professional. Those are that's in the work. Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap this one.
All right.
I came in with 0 takes, and we decided to go 15 minutes over for.
You know what? I'll allow it.
It's Christmas.
It is. So happy holidays to all y'all. Be safe. And if you're in your semifinals or your finals, good luck this week. And we will see you next week for another playoff strategy session here. Of course, tune in on Sunday for the Calm Before the Storm, where the three of us, Gary, Britt, and I will be on. Coop, maybe we'll make one. Maybe I'll put a picture of Coop here just so he is.
What time do you guys start?
10 o'clock. Oh, 11 o'clock your time.
That's the same time.
11 o'clock your time.
That's the same time as the other one I have to do. But if for any reason I can't do that one, I'll do this.
I will at the very least I'll put a framed picture of Coop so he's always there.
Oh, we're all getting shirts, right?
Yeah, I'll just get a shirt with your face on it. I'll just the picture of you going like that. Your Christmas card.
The 150th picture taken during that session.
Yeah,
Nice.
give me a high res picture and I'll get that on a t-shirt.
Perfect. All right.
All right. We're out. We will see you on Sunday. Good luck in week 16 and have a happy and safe holiday. Not saying toodles.